with some of the work that studioMADE did last year, looking at artist-led space. And I think just sort of articulating that as understanding that there are initiatives and organisations across Wales where artists have set them up just to make spaces and places for artists, and it's just really powerful, important. Um, and we wanted to try and kind of put something into that. And one of the things that we did is we sort of went to the Arts Council this year, and we wanted to do a project that is looking at middo. So middo is migration. It's the Welsh word for migration, but we're looking at it from a positive angle. So we're really interested in the ideas around culture exchange. You know, when we spend time together, our cultures grow. We share things, our practices grow as artists. That is so important to me personally, but also I think a lot of the artists and members in Carn. When you live in rural northwest Wales, talking to anyone, it's really nice. But particularly when you can connect with people working in different places in Wales and sort of get their perspective. So we we put this element of into the grant application that we went for the Arts Council, and we were successful, which was great. So what we have conceived and what we've been talking to G39, to Elysium, and to studioMADE is a series of residencies. So we're going to have six opportunities for artists, exchanges between ourselves in Cairn and Carnarvon and those three artist-led spaces. And that will be paid opportunities where we hope we can start pollinating ideas for the artists themselves, but also pollinating the relationships between our spaces and our communities generally. So that's what we have in mind, and we're going to talk a bit about that in this session and give an opportunity for questions and answers. So I'm going to pass over. I think I'll sort of tag team with you, Mena, if you want to talk to start with about the opportunity, how we do this, and then there's an opportunity as well for G39, for Elysium and studioMADE to talk a bit about their spaces. So hopefully you'll get a sense of the exchange, the spaces that you can come to or go to, depending on where you are. And then, you know, the project more generally, and you're very welcome to ask any questions through that as well. So diolch.
Diolch, Joe. Diolch am cyflwyniad yna. Hello pawb, fi di Mena Thomas. I'm Mena Thomas. I'm CAN coordinator. So I work to sort of make sure that things happen for CAN basically, and work beavering behind the scenes. It's really exciting to be able to give you this opportunity to our members as well as the wider network across Wales. And really excited to be collaborating with studioMADE, Elysium, and G39 on this. And I think it'd be, yeah, I think we can have some really cool stuff come out of it. So bear with me, I'm just getting me through here. So just to give you an overview of what we've got as the sort of offer, I suppose. So there's 4 spaces. So ourselves in Cairn and Carnarvon, which is the old Oriel Pen H building, which is opposite the castle main entrance. And then we've got studioMADE in Denbigh, and it's just off the high street. And then you've got G39's big space in Cardiff, off Newport Road, and you've got Elysium's space. Well, I can't remember which space it was. I think it was a college space, wasn't it, John? But they'll all talk about their spaces individually. But with Cairn and with the opportunities, so it's going to be a 5-day residency, whether that's a block of 5 or whether that's scattered over weeks or whatever, that's up to you to put in your application if you apply. And it can be for you as an individual, it can be for you as a duo, a group, whatever. And the opportunity is for an artist to go from Cairn to G39 to Elysium or to studioMADE, and to make sure that that's clear in the application. And then otherwise for one artist that's associated to either G39, Elysium or studioMADE to come to Cairn for those 5 days. the opportunities have a fee. I can't remember the top of my head now, but there's a fee involved with it, and that fee is your creating fee, and then there's also an extra fee towards the accommodation and towards travel in each spaces. And then each spaces have also got a fee sort of for their own working in it, whether that means there's engagement or it just pays for the basics with each space, but each space will give some sort of support. Obviously, that means there'll be somebody there from each space sort of mentoring or sort of helping you during your residency, or sort of just giving you an opportunity or providing you opportunity to connect with other organizations or other people within the location. That would be good. But again, each place can go into that more or further into sort of like, so with ours, for example, in Carn, and we've got the space in Oil H, which is a very long, narrow sort of exhibition space. I don't know how many of you are familiar, but if anybody is interested, just let us know and we can share a sort of package with you with information and give you measurements of the walls and stuff. But we've sort of become, sorry, my brain's gone. We've got worked in partnership with Eraill, which is a local sort of accommodation that's run by the community. So it's on the high streets, well, not on the high street, just off the high street on Palace Street, which is one of the busiest streets in Caernarfon, and it's got a lot of independent shops and businesses. So it's a really nice place. There's a real sense of community there, and they've also got a sort of communal space that we can use as well during the exhibition, the residency period. As well as them, we can collaborate with people like Cadw, because we're right opposite the Castell, and lots of other places like Porthdre. There's a lot of engagement with local communities in all kinds of different spaces. So during that 5 days, we will sort of host some sort of activity with yourself if you were to do a residency with us, as well as do a sort of networking with our membership. So our members, so we're very different in that, as Joe said, we've got a membership and anybody can be a part of Carn. You pay for that membership, and that membership lasts for a year. And yeah, so that membership will have a sort of networking event during our residency, and then we'd like to do some sort of showcase during that week as well. I think I said everything I need to say about it, Joe, but my brain is gone because I think I've just talked too much basically today. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell. And then there'll be that these will happen between March and June in Cairn. So we've got this location, and that's the case. There might be off-site things that happens as well, so it might not all happen in the actual gallery space. There's also the deadline for the applications at the 14th of February. Yeah, it is. I was like, is it? Yeah, it is. So yeah, I think that was it for Karen. Do you want to say anything more about Karen one, Joe?
Yeah, I think we've got a call out document which we could share probably in the if you
Yeah,
got it. Yeah.
yeah. Do you want me to do that?
Yeah, that's probably that has all the details of, but I think um one of the things to say, that this is it's about exchange. We have a general theme around the theme of the fund is around this idea of cultural exchange, of positive migration. But we really wanted, particularly artists coming to Cairn and Carnarvon, it is really about your practice. It's not doesn't have to be led exactly by that theme. It's about making a space that you can experiment with something in a time. We put sort of 5 days to it as a kind of, it can be worked each way. It's quite a micro residency, but something that you can kind of get your teeth into. There might be something in the area you're interested in, or you'd like to connect with artists or other artists with similar practice, and you want to spend time thinking about, someone in whose practice that you'd like to connect with in the area. We'd be able to make those introductions, and I think that's kind of, it really is about giving space for you as individual artists to sort of develop as well as making those connections. So I wanted to sort of raise that it doesn't have to be, it has a kind of loose theme, but really it needs to work for you. So don't feel like you have to shoehorn something into what you think it should be, because it is really about that exchange. The act of exchange is what we're trying to do. So yeah, just sort of note on that when you're thinking of how to apply. But that's great as a kind of introduction to our space, and to us as an organization. And maybe we just sort of open the floor to an intro from the other partners, and then we can come back to sort of questions and practicalities. I don't know if anyone was jumping at the bit. I'm looking at Sam and John and Angela. So, Sam, do you want to go first? Brilliant.
Hello, can people hear me?
Loud and clear.
Excellent. Good, good. You never know with these things how they go. So my name's Sam. I'm the Artist Development Coordinator at G39. So first, I just wanted to say thanks to Carn for setting this up, and for approaching us with this proposal on this project. It's such an exciting thing for us to be able to take part in, and it's yeah, always looking for ways to build stronger connections with artists who are outside of the kind of close sort of remit of the gallery, and organisations as well, based elsewhere in Wales. So, and what's really nice about the proposal from you guys, Khan, is the fact that there's artists. The whole kind of idea is that the way that the organisations get to connect is through artists, and the artists are kind of really sort of central, and kind of the whole, it's artist-led organisations, and so it makes sense. So I just really like the kind of concept I think is really strong. So G39 is a small organisation with just about 5 people working part-time. We've got a very big space, but we're a tiny team, and we try to be welcoming and friendly and responsive. So what I mean by responsive, I mean the organisation has existed for something like 30 years. So it was founded by Anthony Shapland and Chris Brown. Anthony's still a creative director of the organisation. But the work that happens now, say, is completely different, say, to what was happening 30 years ago, because the context has changed. The landscape of artist-led activity and artists working in Wales has changed a lot. But the kind of core ideas and the core culture and remit of the gallery is kind of the same. So we're artist-led, and the staff working here are all practicing working artists. But the aims of our kind of core ideas, like I say, are to encourage artistic practice in Wales, and encourage artists to work here and to be successful here and to be ambitious here, and to work in a community of artists and artist-led organisations and other organisations, and to share with those organisations, and to try and widen that community as much as is possible, as much as we're possible, to able to influence that. And we try to be non-hierarchical and non-judgmental, and to try and be kind, as central ideas. So the work that we do now happens through exhibitions, residencies, talks, screenings, one-to-one studio visits, mentoring, internships, volunteering, and then we have resources that we allow people to use, or that people come to use and work with us, like a library, and then tools and AV equipment that we often share with other organisations. And we host some other organisations in the gallery as well. There's some organisations that recently lost spaces in Cardiff. There's a bookshop called Yellowback Books, for example, that used to have a city centre space, and then didn't have a space for a while. So for at least at the moment, we're hosting that organisation, another small artist-led bookshop. So I think probably the best way I could share some images afterwards. Is that best thing to do is just just maybe send a Google link to Mena? Is that a good thing later, or actually?
Yeah, or you can share now if you want. You should be able to share now.
So I could try and share screen, but
if not, share it later if you want, if people are interested.
yeah, I think we can. I'll do that later, maybe. But yeah, we could send links to like images and stuff of the space. It's like a large warehouse space with a gallery, a white-walled gallery in the front half, a kind of a white-walled project space in the kind of back half, and then we've got like a workshop with tools and equipment and some sort of spaces that are sometimes studio spaces. The residency here, when it happens, will be in towards the end of the project, so it'll be in June because of some other programming commitments we've got the earlier parts of the project. But so at least it'll be warm here though, because it's absolutely Baltic here at the moment, being a warehouse. We'll have some other program on at that time, but I haven't quite got the details of that at the moment, I'm afraid. So what we'll be able to offer artists who come here is a desk space, so studio space to use as a base. They can access tools and equipment that we have in the gallery and AV equipment if it's useful for people. And we're also able to like help make connections or introduce you to other artists. There's sort of opportunities to do things like we could run some kind of social event, or kind of depending on the artist selected, like what kind of suits them best in terms of the way that they might meet people and feel comfortable with it. So we could arrange things in different ways, but some kind of social event or kind of meeting people one-to-one. And we're happy to facilitate and support that. Obviously it's like 5 days or just about a week, right? So we're not like expecting, so I guess people here may be thinking about writing proposals, like expecting like anyone to be able to make like some substantial piece of work. Like it's a really like small amount of time. So we kind of like imagine perhaps the proposals are going to be more likely to be based around kind of research, meeting people, conversations, building connections with places. This could be artists, but it doesn't need to be with artists. It could be with some other aspect of the city or location or culture that you sort of find interesting or exciting. And I guess I mentioned that because I guess, you know, like some people might kind of think, oh, like if I say I'll make paintings and they take like 2 months to make, they'll be like, oh, like what can I do? I can't do anything in a week, you know, whatever. The opportunity is still very much for you in my view. So yeah, obviously we're still keen to hear about the actual practice that you make in the proposals too, though. So I guess the balance of that is something to think about. We're excited about it because we're like keen to get to know some more artists. So we'll be keen to get to know you as the selected artist and to learn about your practice in a kind of sort of less pressurized environment than something like a studio visit. You know, we'll have a little more time and having those 5 days and more space to kind of think about things and have more like longer form natural conversations. And that's exciting for us because those opportunities are surprisingly and unfortunately rare. So I think that's basically, off the top of my head, everything I can think of to say. If there are questions, then I'm very happy to answer any questions at some point. I don't know if that should be at the end or whenever is the best time in this event to do that. And there's a good chance if you ask questions, I don't actually even know the answers to the questions. So I might have to like you know, consult colleagues or something at some point, and then we can figure some way that we can relay the information back by email or some other form. But I mean, I might know the answers, but I'll do my best. But yeah, I think that's everything from me.
Fab, thank you, Sam.
Yeah, Mena, we're taking notes, aren't we? So we
Yeah.
can, if questions come up, we can do a FAQ after and send it out to people who are interested. So maybe that would be a way to do that if questions aren't
Yeah.
answered. But I think
If
because
people
we've
want
got
to put questions in the, sorry, Joe, just to say you can more welcome to put things in the chat as well if that makes life easier. If
yeah,
you've got a question and you might forget in the end sort of thing, or if you've got a comment, please feel free to put it in the chat as well.
yeah. I think should we go? We'll do the introduction by each of the artist-led spaces, and then we can make a space for open discussion and questions at the end as well. That's a sort of a more freer space. John, Angela, do you have any? Do you want to go next, John? I can see you've come off mute.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Right, hang on. Yeah. Yeah. Again, I'd like to thank Mena and Joseph and everyone at Carn for including us with this exciting project. Kind of we've worked with Carn on a number of occasions over the years, mainly on kind of trying to get North Wales artists down to South Wales and South Wales artists up north. And I think this is just a fantastic way of getting artists getting around Wales. We know how difficult it can be getting around Wales cost wise, especially if you haven't got a car and you haven't got much money. So I think this is so important, this project, and I hope this is just the pilot and that this will continue kind of every year if possible. So yeah, so it's absolutely brilliant this is happening. So yeah, so for those of you who don't know who we are, so Elysium Gallery, and we've been going since 2007. So I think we're 18 or 19 years old now. And kind of we started off as a pop-up space. So we'd kind of go into terrible buildings, rundown buildings, which no one wanted. And then we'd set up exhibitions and activities there. And then once kind of we'd done that building up, we'd get moved on to the next one and on and on and on. And we'd go into terrible places, old brothels, old hotels, old nightclubs seems to be a big thing in Swansea. So yeah, so these are the types of places we've tended to inhabit. But over those years, we've grown. We started taking on buildings for artist studios, and kind of up to date now, we're looking after over 100 artists across 4 buildings in Swansea city centre. So I think it works out that we're Wales' largest artist studio provider. So we're at the moment situated on Swansea High Street, where we began back in 2007. So we're just across the road from our first building. And we're about to move from here to a new building at the old JT Morgan's department store, which is in the middle of Swansea city centre. So this is a £3 million development project we've managed to somehow blag. It's a game changer because these are artist studios where they actually have heating. They actually have double glazed windows, lockable spaces, walls up to the ceiling. A few rats probably, and minimal leakage. So what more can you ask for, eh? So so the basically we're constantly going into these terrible buildings, and artists are supposed to kind of pay rent for these kind of spaces which really shouldn't be inhabited. So I think this is important. So that Swansea Council recognise the importance of the arts as a catalyst for change and for employment and training and well-being and all those sorts of things. So yeah, so the new building at the moment, it's the top 2 floors are open, and there's 57 studios I think up and running there, and then our ground floor, which will house the gallery, education spaces, meeting spaces, project spaces, and also a cafe and projection room. That will open in June. No, this year. We're next year now, aren't we? We're this year. So June this year will be the grand opening, and the basement, which I'm quite excited about. There's going to be further studios in there, but there's going to be workbench spaces, so tools, all that sort of thing, dark rooms, and lots of storage room as well, things like that, and hopefully a cinema further on down the line. So it's going to be a fantastic space. So whoever lucky person comes down to Swansea, unfortunately, they won't be in that space. They'll be in our old College Street gallery. So College Street Gallery is a part of the old Barron's nightclub. So we've had that building since 2013, and there's artist studios down there, and our old gallery space. So whoever comes down will actually have the gallery to themselves to work in, and kind of they can, at the end of the residency, kind of put on a little show if they want, or it could be just a kind of we could get all the studio artists down to have a crit and a chat about the work, whatever. Really, we can see how it evolves really. But it's a fantastic space. It is in a basement down some stairs, so it won't be kind of ideal for any wheelchair users, unfortunately. But if someone with kind of wheelchair access that does end up coming to us, then we'll try and sort something out. Okay. So yeah, that's where we are at the moment. And yeah, as I said, we're so looking forward to kind of seeing what happens next. And yeah, and open to any questions. Oh, also, I do have plans and stuff, so I can send them on to you, Mena, if you want. And if anyone wants to look at the space, if you go on our archive page, 2013 to 2018, that's when all the exhibitions were in there. So kind of have a look through that. Okay.
Amazing. Diolch, John. Angela.
Hi, everyone. I echo what John and Sam have said. And yeah, thanks so much to Joe and Mena for organising this. We're really excited to be part of it. I think I want to go to every one of these venues and do a residency myself. So they all sound brilliant. A bit of background. I have got a portfolio, but I don't know if I should share it now because nobody else has. I don't want to like throw images your way. But if you do, maybe raise your hands if you want to see any images of the space, and then I can share a document with you as I'm chatting about who we are. That might be helpful. Oh, okay. Yeah, shall I do that then, Mena? Is that okay?
Yeah, you do that.
I'll just skim through it, so it'll just be like
It's only because nobody's as prepared as you, Angela, that's all.
it's already here, so I thought it might be nice. Just there we go. I'll just go back to some early images, and as I'm chatting, I'll just flick through. On here, you've kind of got a bit of a footprint of the space, and what I'm showing you are some of the events and exhibitions that we've developed over our time here. So we are in a former carriage works building that was built in the 1800s in Denbigh, and Mark Eaglin and I, as artists, founded the space in 2015, and we moved to Denbigh because we fell in love with our studios, with the studio space that we occupy on the first floor of the carriage works. And we felt, because we weren't aware of it before moving here, but we soon became aware of the Cadw Open Doors scheme, where a lot of historic buildings are open to the public. And so we felt an obligation to open the studio, and rather than just open our studio, we devised new projects. So then we collaborated with each other, and I guess with the town and our community, drawing upon local context of like water ecologies, or thinking about technologies, and thinking about use of language and the printing press and dissemination of publications within the town historically. And these ideas fed into a new programme of activity when we took on this ground floor space in 22, and we constituted the organisation. And at this point, we were given a large grant by Arts Council and other funders, and developed a much more ambitious programme, inviting different curators and wanted to really broaden our network and connection and collaboration across Wales. So it was about bringing different artists from across Wales and different curators from across Wales to come and work with us here in this very small town of Denbigh. So this is, I'm just showcasing kind of the space and some of the work and the artists that we've worked with over this time. And I was going to say, yeah, and then we did establish an artist residency program, and we worked with DAC back in 23. We worked with, we hosted a residency for Lauren Heckler. Did I go past that already? Maybe it's down here. Oh, this is really fun. We did, we worked with Lux Wales artists, and we did these screenings. So I'm just kind of showcasing some of the stuff that we've done here, but I get really excited when we visit it. So Lauren Heckler was an artist in residence. And what I really loved about this residency is it was a 2-week residency, and it was there was no obligation from Lauren to kind of connect with communities, it was all about her developing research and evolving in a way that suited her. But during this process, she decided that she would like to host like a breakfast club and have connections with different communities, and then have kind of a final showcase of the work that she developed over this period of time. So kind of drawing upon that, we're really excited to be hosting an artist here or a collective at the Carriage Works. And here there are 4 artists within the building. So there's myself and Mark Eaglin, and then there are 2 other artists, Lois Williams and Lisa Carter-Greast. And I was going to say something about that. So what would be really helpful for us is to have an understanding, if you know at this point in time, if you would like to connect with any community or organisation, if you would like to deliver a talk, an artist talk, connect with other artists, or if you would like some skill development or mentorship during this period of time, it would be really helpful if you had an idea, if you do have an idea, and if we can be aware of these things before your residency. So anyway, I'll stop the share there. Unless I've got, I don't think I showed you an image of the building, but it is really lovely. And it is accessible for those in wheelchairs, but we do not have a disabled toilet. So I just thought I'd raise that now. But that's it from me. Thank you.
Gwych. Diolch yn fawr. Yeah, it's really great. I mean, I think one thing, just seeing everyone's presentations or discussions now, you can kind of sense what an artist-led space is in Wales and kind of what it does. And it's just really exciting to see the sort of passion for the work and the connection and that kind of feeling that there is a part of a bigger, wider network of connections. So it's just a really exciting thing to be able to host, and I hope that you agree, and hope there's interest within this space, because that is what this is about. It's about making space for you to think about it, to get excited about it, and then to ask any questions that you might have of it. If there's something not clear, or if there's something you'd like to raise, then this now is an opportunity for you to do that. I welcome anyone who has any questions. There's Harriet, you've raised one about the eligibility criteria for the residencies. So I guess one of the things that we have done, because we're trying to connect these different sort of geographic spaces and networks, we're trying to. So the artists that are coming from Carnarvon, the Northwest, are going to be members of our network because we have a membership network. And then the artists that are coming the other way have an association. with the areas, and we've kept that kind of relatively loose, but there, it is about trying to connect artists from those areas and from associated with those spaces. So I guess that would be probably the only eligibility. We don't. I can't think of anything else we've put down. We've tried to keep it as open as possible. This really is about sort of making space for creative pollination of ideas and exchange.
Unless any of the other partners wanted to say anything specific.
Yeah.
On that. No.
No, I think when we'll obviously be reviewing the applications coming in, and we'll be looking, I guess, for artists that we think would really benefit from that opportunity, in their practice, but also have, an interest in the exchange and the possibility of it. So it's not a criteria, but I guess when we sit down together, we'll be looking for sort of, what we think would be the benefit for that artist at that time in their career, but also the connection it makes between us as organizations.
We've been thinking about if we were to ask the artists what they wanted from the residency, it'd be like a kind of a question that you're asking yourself at this moment in time, and how you would benefit from this residency at this moment in time, and what the organization can help you with.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Angela.
Yeah, I think one of the sort of things that has been raised already, but we're not, as has been said, it's a week essentially, so we're not expecting like a body of work at the end of it. It's about, it's fueling yourselves. There is opportunity to experiment and to exhibit if you want to in those locations, and we have been thinking about trying to sort of bring a few collective moments where maybe, people who are having these pollinator exchanges, we can create conversations or maybe create exchanges towards the end of the program, so that you don't just sort of connect with the organization that you come to, but you have an exchange with the other artists who are having the exchange. And so they're within that. But for the main part, it's really open to it. So there's a question from Penny. Do artists specify the organization they would like to connect with? Yes. So I guess you will be, if you're a CAN member, you would be saying where you'd like to be going to, the kind of organization, because we will, be really great if we get a sense of what the interest and the spark is, for if when we sit down at table with Sam and John and Angela, we can sort of see what as Angela said, what you like to see developmentally, but also what you're interested in that area.
But also to notify if you're not a CAN member, the choice is literally just to come to CAN, isn't it, Joe? Just to make that clear.
Yeah.
That's really useful, Menna.
That's fine. That's why I thought I'd say it, just in case that hadn't been clear.
Sorry.
So yeah, no, Joe. It was just an add-on, basically, just to say, yeah, there's more choice for if you're a CAN member, just because we're the lead sort of partner on it, and because that's how we've set it up. But there's an opportunity to still connect otherwise, even if you're not getting a residency in that space. I think that's fair to say, isn't it? There will be connecting opportunities.
So Leo, you've asked a question about whether or not students, I think, we haven't put a sort of limit. If you feel, if your practice is developing and it would be a really useful opportunity and your practice is in the right space, I think that doesn't, it can be years of experience or it can be really new. I think we're all open and we're all organizations that work and support early career artists. That's part of, I think, for every one of us. It's something that we try and do. So there shouldn't be any reason to feel that you can't put an application in at all, or any student really who's developing that. There's no specification on the funding or the fund around students taking those places.
No, and there's no age limit. It's open on that sense, isn't it?
Hello, hi.
Yeah, Lily.
I was just wondering, this might be like a cheeky question, because obviously if there was the opportunity to go to Carn, it would be amazing. But it sounds like there could be a loophole of becoming a member like within this month period between now and the application's closing. And I was just wondering how would that feel for you guys as reviewers? Yeah, whether that's allowed or not, basically.
I don't. So if you, like our membership is very, very swift.
It's a good question. Thank you.
It's a good question. So I don't think it's if you're, I guess one of the things to sort of think about if you're an artist if you're in the kind of ambit of Karen's area work, because we sort of northwest Wales very broadly. I mean, we've got members all the way down to Machynlleth, and it's a very broad northwest Wales generally. But that we've done it. I think when we were putting together the application, one of the things that guided us was that we are a membership organisation, and we wanted to think about what we offer to the members. They very kindly put their time in. It's not very much money, but it just sort of helps us get a bit of match towards these applications. So yeah, there's no, the membership to Canon, I think literally takes 2 minutes. It's an online form, so I don't feel that there would be any issue with that at all. I mean, I imagine we'll have some interest, not just for this, but we've got a exhibition coming up in Carnarvon Castle in the summer, which is paid an exhibition, which also has opportunities for Canon members that, not all of them, but some that might be of interest. And I don't think that should be a barrier at all. If you feel that that's you're kind of within the area of Canon. Great.
Does anybody have any other questions, or do you want to ask any of the locations, anything specific, apart from what Lily just asked, sort of thing, or about the application process?
Yeah, it'd be great if you could just talk us through the process, if that's okay, Mena.
Yeah, no problem. Because I was very aware that I was speeding through it earlier. So the process is literally a PDF or Word document sent to us at Carn. So it's carn.post at gmail.com. I'll pop it in the chat in a minute. And it's on the information I've shared earlier on the chat. And it's just so in that, we just want you to include the following. So I'm just going to get it up because just in case I get it wrong. So your proposal needs to be max of 500 words or a link to an audio or a video. So that would be your overall proposal about your idea and what you'd like to explore. And as Angela mentioned, maybe what you want to get out of the residency. And then there would also be a link to your recent works. So that could be sort of like a link to a shared file or to a website or even to your Instagram or something like that. And then a short artist statement, biography or CV for you and anyone else that's part of your group or sort of, I can't think of the word now, of your group or sort of collaborators for your proposal, and then your contact details, of course. If you have any problems, just let us know and we can sort of try and work around it. Otherwise, you can contact us, myself or any of the other locations for further information as well. And then so the deadline's the 14th of February. And between now and then, there are opportunities to go and see Denby and us in Carn, as well as potentially with yourself and Elysium, did you say, John? And I'm not sure about G39 because we don't want to take too much people's time. But if you do want to do any of those, again, please just contact us. And then the 14th of Feb is the deadline, so it'll be midnight that night. And then we will do the selection process during mid to late February. And then from the 1st of March, we aim to sort of announce who's been selected. And then the residencies will take place between that March and June period. Now, as Joe and a couple of the other people did say, that we will be doing sort of like some elements during those times and at the end where we can sort of share what the experience has been and so forth. But yeah, otherwise, it's about what you want to get out of it, and the more of that detail you can put in the application, the better, I presume. But we're not expecting you to finish work or to know already what you want to do. It's just about an idea about research and about that cross collaboration and pollinating sort of thing, if that makes sense. I'm just looking at the comments in case there's anything there.
We've got a specific one on the that timeline in the application, which is around submitting. So yeah, you can provide work as a PDF. You don't need to just have a web page. It can be as a supporting document. That's totally fine. There is also a question there about the theme, and if we have other artists having created work about positive migration and cultural exchange before. This, for us as Carn, trying to think if we've done anything on a similar theme. I think this is the first residency and project we've done on the theme of Middag. So
I think so,
yeah. I don't know if we've got any examples, but I guess in the idea of what's exciting us, I think like when we were thinking about this work, it's a particular time at the moment where the idea of moving migration is so negative and borders are so, the idea of kind of the positivity of human interaction seems to be just really dumbed down. And, for us, we're a country of the Future Us, the Future Generations Act. We're a country that really thrives on connection of culture, of kind of language, and our language has grown, our culture has grown over a long time through positive migration. So it was a way of framing that, in a sense. It's the interactions that you have between people, the relationships that you make between people, the relationships that we make as organizations between other places. They're part of that kind of tapestry of what makes movement good, what makes cultural development, what makes culture good. So it was work that, I would say there's always a kind of, art should never kind of veer away from the truth, and the truth can be difficult. But at the same time, there are aspects where, there is positivity in the culture in itself. So it's not, I feel like I've talked myself in a circle with this one, but there's definitely no prescribed format or thing to do or to look at. But I think keeping yourself open is maybe what we were looking at, and the sort of joy of exchange and the joy of sharing and the joy of meeting is something that we're hoping to elicit through this anyway. But that doesn't have to be in the work. And then. So, Penny, you've asked, is there an interest in wider UK international links through the selection of artists residency, or more Wales focused? Do you mind if I ask you to expand on that, Penny? Sorry, just so I get the context right.
probably badly phrased. I was just thinking of crossing borders and breaking the things that limit it, breaking through the things that limit us. And so I was wondering, knowing that there's we've been thinking about the links across Wales and sharing across Wales, and I'm sure that a lot of us have got international and links or across the border with so England, like Bristol and Manchester, and I wondered if that could be a part of the thinking of the residency to bring those connections and links into the residency in some way, or if it's more we're thinking about, how we make a stronger Wales community.
I mean, personally, I guess the two things that I don't want to conflate here, and one is the kind of we're doing I think as it was said earlier, one of the nice things that we're hoping to do is we're having conversations between organizations, but actually we're trying to make a space for artists, for you as artists, to develop and have those opportunities. So you don't have to carry the weight of all the strategic work that we're trying to do. Like when I read and I contributed to the work that Angela was doing in studioMADE on the artist-led space, it really sung to me as the kind of, there is a space for this exchange, and it isn't just in Wales. It's exchange that we have with cultural institutions across the UK and across the world, and that's kind of what makes it as great and what makes us stronger. But and I think that during this project there will be an opportunity to look at that and think, well, what do we do if this is a pilot? What do we do next, and how do we bring voices in from other places and other parts of the world, and how do we really make that vibrant offer of cultural exchange? But for you as artists, do what will do something that really excites you. Do something that you want to do, that you'll have a week and you'll think at the end of it, I have grown. So this has added something to my practice. Don't worry about that wider conversation. It will happen naturally, and it's just the pleasure of giving the opportunity to you as artists to be in those spaces and have those exchanges that I think is important here. Did I answer your question, Penny? Is that all right? Yeah, great. So I think you've just posted the email link. So we are, if any questions have come up in this conversation, if you'd like to ask them now, feel free to do so. It's all open to discussion. We would welcome any questions as well. If something has occurred to you but you don't want to ask in an open forum, please do get in touch. If you want to get in touch with us about the program, or you want to get in touch with each of the galleries, we can help facilitate that. Just so that you feel confident and comfortable when you do the application. But yeah, as I say, it's a space for questions if you'd like to. But I understand sometimes you don't want to. Like, I've been in the same situation. You kind of not sure you want to ask the question in an open space. So don't feel you have to. You can get in touch with all of us whenever you like. And we're very happy to feedback. Gwych.
Okay. Also, I don't know if we want to take this opportunity to say that the Castell exhibition call out will hopefully be shared next week.
Yeah.
So just for people to keep their eyes peeled. And if you're all happy, then I can send you all the link to that call out when it comes out, because that will be completely open. So yeah.
Yeah, so Castell is just for those who haven't seen the Castell exhibition before. Cadw give us the free run of Carnarvon Castle. So we have it for a weekend over Gwyl Arall. So there's a kind of alternative literary festival in Carnarvon. We have the castle from Friday till Sunday. There will be 20 commissions. They're not massive, so it's £500 per commission, but you can develop some site responsive work and install it into the castle, and then we will have some kind of event and celebration there as well. It's just a really interesting place to show work because it's just, yeah, it's quite a rabbit warren of intrigue. So yeah, that will come up and that'll be open as well. So keep your eye out for that in the next week.
Okay.
One more quick question. Just in case it's helpful for anybody. Just at the start, you said the opportunity is open to like duos and groups. I don't know if there's anybody in the chat that's relevant to. But does that affect the fees and travel and accommodation and those kinds of offers to artists? And like, is there a kind of a size of group at which it kind of becomes which point is what's like possible?
It's a good question. Thanks, Sam. So, do you want me to answer it, Joe, or you're going to?
Yeah, it's Tisha. Yeah.
So the fee is what the fee is, whatever the size of the group or whatever it is. So yeah, so it doesn't get multiplied depending on whoever the number of participants you have. So it's 1,250 per artist or group, and then with the travel and accommodation costs up to 550 per residency. But yeah, so that's it. That's the sum that you get. Doesn't matter how many people are in your application, as it were, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So yeah, as you said, it's only small, but it's hopefully just a pilot this time round, and we can hopefully elaborate and build on in the coming years.
Yeah, I think we're really keen and in this to expand and try and think about what we could do in future. And I'm hoping that each of these experiences, as well as being developmental for you, will also mean that we learn how better to do this and how best to do this and what the opportunities are. So yeah, there'll be learning, I'm sure, but hopefully you find that an exciting opportunity as well.
Can I just ask a question about the pressure on you to kind of make this pilot project successful and how you define that?
So as in Carn as an organisation?
Maybe the funders.
Yeah, so I guess if I was to outline what we're doing as part of MIDA, it's an Arts Council Create grant. So we have had funding for the core bit of the work to pay for that. The interventions within that, there's a curatorial offer for students that goes alongside the Castell exhibition, which is for students to third year students from Coleg Menai to work with Mostyn Gallery and us to develop curatorial skills. We've got the Castell exhibition, which is the bit at the end, which is about bringing new artists into Carnarvon, into that sort of space and sharing work. There's this Pollinator Residency, and then there's sort of online connection opportunities for CAD members as well, which are sort of more playful commissions for people to experiment with on creative online connecting methodologies for artists across Wales. You can see in all of that, the sort of theme behind it is this sort of proliferation of contact. And, it's about giving artists opportunities to develop their practice, but also connect with other places. So what the funders and what we'll be reporting back on is that, we're not going to change the world with this. We're just looking at ways of making spaces for artists to connect with others, learning as artist-led organisations how we connect with each other. And that's at the end of that period when we come to September. What we're hoping is that we have given some really great opportunities for artists, and that we will have learned a bit more about the kind of, ecosystem or mycelium of artist-led spaces and creativity in Wales, and we can develop something on the back of that. And so I guess for you as artists, you don't need to feel that there is, you don't have to deliver anything. We're not asking for residencies that have an output that you've got to feed back on. It is about your development, about your connections. So hopefully that puts your mind at rest. There's no weight of a big program on your shoulders.
I was more is getting bogged down with possible lengthy evaluations, documents, and the sort of thing that you often have to do in order to define how the money's being spent, and the council, what comes next, and how they really wonderfully experimental artist-led projects, and also in the case of the Elysium, £3 million project, how that's got implications for artists who are dedicated to create artist-led projects and studio spaces, and get caught up in these hugely demanding, capital schemes and things. It's just this notion of progress and how important these grassroots kind of projects are to the development of emerging artists. It's just so valuable and so interesting. How important it is to hold on to that magical thinking.
You dropped out a little bit in the beginning, so I'm not quite sure if I got entirely everything that you were talking about. But it sounded to me that you were asking about the reporting process for us, but also kind of that balance between maintaining the kind of what makes an artist-led space and the grassroots great, for us within this idea of like a developing network or developing strategic body of work. Is that around what you were just to confirm? Yeah.
But it's also having to deal with all these, kind of political agendas that I'm going slightly off kilt, but it's not just about the artists who are involved in the residencies, it's also about the host organisations and, how it benefits you guys as practicing artists, because it is an artist-led initiative, because you all have your own incomes to find, and you also have your own practices to support. It's just protective thinking, really.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point, and I very much value you bringing it up, because finding the balance and the time for creative time in amongst every thing that you do in your life to try and keep things going is a continuing work of effort. I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because there is something in the reason I kind of put time into Karen, and I love putting time into Karen, is because I don't want to be an artist sitting by myself in my forge, not connected to other artists. I love connecting with people's creativity. I think seeing people's way of thinking, looking at what people do and what they're interested in, and is just so it's so valuable, and it's something that I believe in strongly. So, and I think artist-led spaces do that better than any other, because we're not, hierarchical. We let people experiment, we let people explore, we give people a space, and we bring passion in. It's not a 9-to-5 day job that we walk away from. It's something that's in our souls. And there's almost like a sweet spot, isn't there, between doing that and maintaining it, but also not going too far and it becomes something that stops being what it started. So, I mean, I don't think I have an answer to that, but I would like to say that over this year, it'd be amazing if we could have conversations about it, because I think it's probably the kind of the $25 million question, or whatever is a useful number these days, is to how to do all of that.
Yeah.
And I notice has written a question which does respond to the first part of your question, which is about artist feedback and reporting on. It's always great. I think just on the point I just made, it's always amazing to sort of hear what people have been doing in residencies and sharing it, because I get every time I read about the development of someone's creative practice, I find it really inspiring for myself. It's also it would be useful to document in some way, because we will be reporting back to the Arts Council and we do things like that, but it shouldn't be the kind of be all and end all. It shouldn't be what you're thinking about when you're working. That is kind of our problem, I guess, as the partners, to keep that documentation in some way. But the thing that I'd be most interested in is that you're able to share some of the work and the development that you're doing creatively and have those conversations. Di hynna'n ateb, Anth? Di hynna'n iawn? Is that all right?
Yeah, I think that was kind of what Alice was trying to get to.
Yeah. Gwych. So Dee, in terms of mentoring, is there provision of the partner artist time? So I think the mentoring would be through the organization, Dee. So you'd be sort of mentoring from G39, from Elysium through and studioMADE, and there has been provision in their time for sort of some in connection in some way. I think it would be developed in conversation. I don't want to sort of speak for John, Sam, and Angela, but I think it would be a way we'd do that in conversation with you, the successful artists, and look what would be appropriate. Is that what you mean by partner artist? Is the other side of the mentoring? Yeah, brilliant. Okay. Yeah, we are. I mean, I think it is. We're doing a lot with not a massive amount of funding. It is to say, so there are things that if we were in a different situation, which we might, there might be a longer period of time. It would be nice if it was a long period of time. Any residency is better if it's a bit longer, and we might have had, more paid opportunities for other artists to connect with that. But this is really a kind of a pilot within that. So I think it will be a really interesting time and a really developmental time. Say that.
If I could just interject a little bit. I think for me, this what's happening now hasn't really happened before. I mean, there has been meetings between Zoom meetings like this between the kind of some of the main arts organisations in Wales, almost like members of the five families in The Godfather getting together and chatting. But what's happening now, artists and artist-led spaces getting together and talking, doesn't happen that often, and this is fantastic. And for me, I want this to continue. I think there's a duty. So there's some of us who are lucky enough to be revenue funded at the moment, although that could change next year or the year after, to kind of help make sure that it continues, and then to kind of also support some of the other organisations who aren't revenue funded. So if they're going to have to go for funding to help supplement this, that we back them in that as well. But I think also something I'm noticing at the moment, our end, you've got kind of long-standing groups like Kazoo and the Arts Group Wales, who are celebrating their 80th and 90th anniversaries. And then I think up in North Wales, you've got the Cambrian Society, and these are organisations that have been running a long time, and I think are probably in a position to actually help put a bit of money into this. I mean, for organisations like them, £5,000 isn't much. We managed to get Kazoo over here to actually pay for the heating in the artist studios here, so that they were phenomenal to kind of offer that money. And they're kind of reaching these milestones, these 80th and 90th anniversaries, and they're kind of looking at themselves and kind of what's their legacy and how are they going to survive another 50 years or so, So I think there is a conversation there to be had as well and approaching these things. I mean, there's a very nice fella, I think I said to Mena, is it Kerry Thomas, who's took on head pointy hat person of the Cambrian Society? He's a lovely fella, and a good voice for the arts in Wales. And so he'd be good to kind of approach. And I think there is scope there. The network, the people and the organisations are already in Wales. It's just side of knitting these things together. And so it's not, the Arts Council, of course, are always there, and hopefully you can get a bit of money off them, but it obviously needs a bit more as well. So I think maybe a conversation after these residencies about that could happen then,
Yeah. Right. Well, that's my project brief written for me now. Fantastic.
Could I just jump in?
Yeah.
Hi, thank you everyone for the invitation and explaining what this residency is all about. And what I'm understanding then is that the week residency can be treated, because I think there's a lot of apprehension as an artist when we go for these things, as you know, about performance and delivering and all of these things. And those are things you have spoken about. Just for myself, I just wanted to say that whilst discussing inclusion and diversity, that's what we're talking about, and cultural exchange, these things take time. And they are conversations and they are connections with communities. And interestingly enough, the communities that you think may be interested sometimes aren't. So these things aren't always, they can slip and slide and they shape themselves. And that's something that I think could be present perhaps in the application, because that's quite a daunting thing, to come in and say, yeah, I'm looking at these are the themes of my practice. And my practice in particular, a little bit niche, and does need kind of really circular talking where there is like a sharing and an intimacy, and those sort of relationships do take time. So I'm like, would I waste my time making the application, basically, like in that sense, is there space for that kind of approach?
I mean, what I'd like to, I guess the confines are the budget in the time. I mean, the question maybe would be, could you envisage a way of, being true to your practice in a sense that you'd be able to do a process that would be beneficial to you in that time, that would, it doesn't have to be an output, but you be able to make something small enough that's contained enough that would be really, you'd sort of feel really comfortable about in that time. And yeah, I think that we're not kind of, if that sharing is important, then that's something that we can facilitate as, in the build up to the exchange and the residency. But not that you feel that you have to do too much and it wouldn't fit into the time that we can offer.
Yeah, I'm glad I stated what I said, because I was just like, actually, there was quite a lot there. And I think I was referring to those small conversations that happen.
Yeah.
That do eventually lead to bigger things and fuller things. And that's okay if you don't meet that, because with me and my practice, I'm so interested in locating and looking into different cultures where there are similarities in the way we live and how we can express them. And that's quite big if you don't know what the landscape looks like. So that's, this is a wonderful opportunity to tap in to the ecology.
Speaking personally, when we were writing the brief and thinking about it, I mean, for most of the commissions I've worked on in artists with Karen or in other roles, it really, it always goes back to that notion that you you give the opportunity, and an artist will always follow it to something in the future. I have 100% trust in artists that you don't need an output at the time, because it will naturally feed into something through your practice, and that's the thing that's worth investing in. So if
That's
that
very reassuring, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, great, thank you.
I also feel like if you come to a space and you're reading for 5 days, that's really valuable, and that's really valuable to your practice. Then you can justify that as, investing in the artist and supporting your career, and if that's what you need at this moment in time. Or if you really specifically want to engage with certain communities, and the venue, the organisation already has connections, then that's a conversation also, isn't it? So a way of supporting you and what you need.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there are any more questions in the chat, and I think unless anyone's got anything else, it feels like we're coming up to time. And yeah, just a massive thank you for your time this evening, and your interest and your thoughts and your challenges. It's really, really good. And I think, even from this conversation, I can see the ideas developing and the opportunities and the possibilities. So keep with that. There's a month now until the application deadline, so hopefully that's got enough time for you to think about it a bit further. And please keep in touch, send any questions, and just thank you for spending the time with us this evening. Diolch yn fawr.
Yeah, diolch yn fawr iawn pawb. Thank you.
Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you.
Diolch.
Iawn.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.
Is there any chance to ask a question? Sorry, I've just come in really last minute.
It's all right, yeah. Go for it, Lorraine.
I feel really awful now because everyone's bloody gone. I presume curatorially there's still eligibility. It's not specifically artists. There is like curatorial incentive to sort of work in whatever way and I'm sort of building off what other people said. If things like studio visits to artists that are within that sort of ecology there are part of that cultural exchange, the way Angela spoke about sort of reading as a sort of way of justifying actually using it as an opportunity to spend time in the location, is just as much of a what would I say, like a sort of progressive output, like actually physically making something might not come about that quickly, but actually the chance to just spend time with the artists who are local in that area, who curatorially you may have been keeping an eye on for a while, that's like cool too.
Yeah, I think, for me, Adil and Sam are still here, but having an opportunity for that exchange and that development, it is very much around the idea of pollination is about making those spaces for exchange. It's about your practice, and we kind of use the word artist as a kind of descriptor for. I think we all know that is a very broad church in the sense that like creative practice can take all forms, and it really is, it's something that if that is your creative practice, the connection, curation, and what you want to do, then I don't think it would be. I don't think anyone would be opposed to an application based on that at all.
Brilliant, diolch. I think it's just sort of navigating that. I think everyone sort of asked a similar question really about that sort of output, which everyone sort of worries about in general. But I think actually there's a sort of soon. Angela sent it to me, so I think it's sort of whether I'm just wondering. So I would be within the category of just applying to Carn.
Yeah.
Brilliant. That's as long as I got that. That's the plan. So, but yeah, it's all sort of. Thank you for the sort of the chat. I think it's incredibly important. And as someone who also tries to navigate that artist-led initiative, it's incredibly positive to sit in a room full of people who also share the same passion, you know. But yeah, thank you very much. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Oh, thank you, mate.
And hopefully I'll send the application in before the 14th. I'll stick it in my diary. I should be sure. But thank you. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mena. Thank you, Joseph, for this.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for hosting that. You've done really well.
Oh, no,
It was lovely.
you.
It was lovely to have that chat, and I think I look forward to speaking in future.
And you too, Angela. Nice to see you.
Yeah,
nice
you
to see you, Alison.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah,
I'm going to go now.
Yeah.
no, thank you so
Thanks,
much for your
everyone.
time.
Nice to see you all. Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.